Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. It is time for the Division 1 Championship here at ISRL Esports. It is time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and we are here at Baku City Circuit to kick off this full qualifying session. 18 minutes of non-stop qualifying action. Thank you for joining in, everybody. I am your host here in the commentator's booth, Fallen Monkeys, back here again. I just didn't have enough after our Division 2 race, so I am back at it here again for Division 1. And for the time being, rocking the comms alone here. Gonna be a little bit of a different voice, but it's going to be the same great racing action that we are used to seeing here for ISRL Esports, as we have Ver Indigo in the Renault, the first driver to hit the track and kick off our full qualifying session. I'll get all of this wonderful stuff up so everybody watching at home can get an idea of what we've had. But we've had Division 3 take to the track here at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and that was a very crazy race, as I can speak for a fact. And we had Division 2 here at 1 p.m. Eastern Time a few hours later. That was, if you're still here on the channel, that was the race we have just finished watching about a half hour ago, and that was extremely exciting, as well as we saw a dry qualifying and full wet race. But it is time now for the main event. It is Division 1. It is the fastest drivers that we have here at ISRL Esports on the track, getting ready to duke it out and see who is going to be the king of Baku for Division 1. And it's going to be exciting. But as we said, before we jump off to the race, we have a full qualifying session. So drivers here, just to kick things off, we are in the early stages, qualifying 1. So your goal is to make it through within the top 15, but it's a lot easier said than done, as we have a lot of very fast drivers. But we'll sit here right on board with Ver Indigo as he takes us through his first flying lap, comes around the 90-degree corner of Turn 1, into Turn 2 now, which is a little bit more difficult than Turn 1, easy to lose the back end, but hangs on very fine there. Now opens DRS down the second longest straight here of the track before approaching another 90-degree left-hander in Turn 3. Followed by, look at this, another 90-degree angle corner for Turn 4, approaching the end of Sector 1, and this is where things can get very technical. We've got the chicane here. You do want to take this turn a little bit early. You might feel like you're going to hit the wall, but you will make it through. But this is where the excitement happens. You've got a very hard right-hander, very difficult to get right, and then the castle section. You saw there, Ver Indigo just barely clipped the wall up the hill around the castle section and loses the back end, as we might get used to seeing. Get ready to hear that, because you'll be hearing that fairly often, as Ver Indigo aborts his lap after that. So we'll jump over to somebody else who's on a lap here. Let's take a look. I think we have the Ferrari of VR46 Yarno right where we left off after the castle section. A bit of a swooping corner that you can take flat out, approaching a very hard braking zone. Now, VR did jump the corner, but I don't really like to do that given my own setup. Approaching there down the hill, another left-hander, and you're almost home free, but don't want to be breathing too early, because this little S section here, a tiny little chicane, looks a little bit harmless at first glance, as we saw VR take it very nicely, but you're taking that at very high speeds, and that can very much so affect the outcome of the lap and negatively affect the race, as VR completes his first lap with a bit more of a representative time on the board of a 138.830 to set the first true lap here of the Baku City Circuit, as Carter crosses the line and goes fast. That's a 138.745 for the Mercedes driver, so a very good time from Carter, and must be very happy with that time he has set. But we'll be seeing these times improve. We have rotation smashing that time. It's a 137.634, and here on your screens we have the Haas drivers of Feral Fury and your own Visser trying to help each other out, and that was Feral Fury to cross the line and sets a purple third sector with the help of DRS. And here in Division 1, we are going to see a lot of teamwork, especially down the very long back straight that we were seeing the Haas drivers come down. You can really gain a lot of time if you do get the help. But this man on your screen here, the three-time defending world champion, Sweet Crown 19, not looking to have any help from his teammate, barreling down the back straight, and doesn't really need the help from his teammate as he sets a fastest 1:37.580 for his first time here in qualifying 1. So a blistering fast time, and already we have 3 drivers, Izat Kush, Vapor Rotation, and Sweet Crown 19, all into the 1:37s very early on. Now, let's take a look. Your own Visser unfortunately invalidates his lap, so we'll be aborting that. Josh 2 is on a good lap, the teammate to Sweet Crown 19, and as he's coming down this back straight, we'll see what kind of time the second Williams driver can put on. Can he put himself up there with his teammate for qualifying 1? Crosses the line, not up alongside him, but a good enough for a P4 for Josh 2. That's a near 1:38 flat, for the second Williams driver. So a good time nonetheless for Josh 2, and he puts himself into a very decent spot here in these early stages of qualifying 1. Now, let's jump over to Passassin as Rotation, very happy with his lap time, retires out of qualifying, and feels as though he's very comfortable to make it through into qualifying 2, and I'll be honest, I might have to agree with them on that, given the lap time he's set. But back to Passassin, back in that McLaren, has shown a lot of pace here ever since joining into Division 1, and we'll see if he can translate that to another strong showing here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Clips the wall a little bit on the exit of that corner, so that might be a little bit of time lost, but doesn't look like it affected him all that much as he's still nearly a 1:14 flat at the end of Sector 2. Very fast sector time thus far. He went purple in Sector 1, purple in Sector 2, coming down the long back straight of Sector 3. Let's take a look and see what kind of time is the McLaren driver going to put up for his first time here in qualifying. It's going to be a 1:38.110 or a 1:09 as the timing board show. Good enough for a top 5 here, and puts himself into a pretty comfortable position with still 10 minutes to go in qualifying. Jumping over to, let's take a look here. I think here, let's jump with Du Will, the Red Bull driver. Another very fast driver. I could say that about all these drivers here if I'm being completely honest. But coming down the back straight, what is the Red Bull driver going to do for his first time on the board? Will be crossing the line, and that is going to be P9 for Du Will. That's and immediately bumped down to P10 as who was that went a little bit faster? That was AJ Wuhan in the McLaren, called up from Division 2 last week after a consistently strong showing, and has not missed a beat here in Division 1, up into 7th in qualifying 1, and setting himself up for a pretty decent qualifying session here, assuming nothing changes. But of course, this is still early stages of qualifying. Lots can change here if we're not careful, but we're in a little bit of a changeover period. I think Jamie 1 is going to be the lead driver of the second string of drivers. We have your own Visser, Nathan JB, Knight, Chapelelli, and Jamie 1 who have yet to set times. Jamie 1 is leading the way on a flying lap, so we'll ride with the Mercedes driver and see if he can get a decent time on the board. Of course, your goal is to make it through into the top 15, and then you get a chance to qualify in qualifying 2, which is going to be a 15-minute session. So you're not looking at setting the fastest time on the board, but of course the higher up on the timing cable you are, the likes of which we're seeing Sweet Crown 19, Rotation, Izat Kush, Josh 2, Passassin. You know, of course, the higher you are on the board, the more likely it is that you will be making it through into the next qualifying session, which involves conserving maybe an extra set of tires for the race. And if I'm being honest, you're going to need an extra set of tires here for Baku City Circuit, as we might see a lot of pit stops. Now, by that, I don't just mean tire wear, which of course is something to discuss here, because the tire wear at this circuit, especially in your rear tires, are very, very high. It is a high degradation track for those rear tires. They're put on a lot of strenuous pressure with all of these 90-degree corners, these slow in, very fast out type corners, along with the curbs. But of course, your front wings. We haven't seen too much of this here in qualifying, and of course these Division 1 drivers, as Jamie 1 goes P6, but these Division 1 drivers are very, very fast. They know how to keep it out of the walls, but of course it is Baku City Circuit. It is a street circuit, and you can see when I jump on board with the other Red Bull of ISRL Night that you don't have much runoff here between yourself and the wall. So in a section like this one, where it's very, very fast, it is very easy to hit the wall, especially this corner here, if I'm being honest. Very easy to hit that outside wall, take a little bit of wing damage, and that can really hinder the lap times you set in the race in qualifying. And of course, when you're just changing tires on your pit stop, it takes about 2.5 seconds, if I'm being honest. If you've got to change your front wing, you're in there for about 8 seconds, I would say. So a very big difference between the pit stop times. So that's a lot of time to be lost just from mistakes. But Knight crosses the line, sets his first time on the board. That's a 1:38.678. Good enough for what is going to be 11th. Now, Schiaparelli, I thought he had a time set, but it appears as though there was an invalidation for the other Alfa Romeo driver, so we'll be going around once again on that same set of tires. So that's a purple first sector here, so it's looking to be a pretty good lap for him, at least in these early stages of qualifying one, but we'll see if he can keep it up and keep it clean. Now, Baku City Circuit isn't... Oh no, that's off the wall for Schiaparelli, and takes a little bit of end plate damage, so a very costly mistake. As I said, will not be setting that very quick lap time as we're so used to seeing, and is going to have to very much hurry to get around the track, get in the pits, and maybe set a one and done before the end of qualifying one, or risk starting from the back. But crucially, now that I'm thinking about it, Schiaparelli has a qualifying ban here for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, so I think really just getting some outlap sets, not really looking to set a time, so I don't think it matters all that much. Of course, as mentioned, Schiaparelli does have that qualifying ban for hitting the, what I'll call it, the no-no button, the ready-up button between qualifying and the race, so cannot set a lap time, but is allowed, as per the rules, to go out and set an outlap, set a flying lap. But as soon as you have a time on the board with a qualifying ban, that's it. That is another qualifying ban. That is where the rule is broken. So nothing wrong with what Chap is doing, but will be starting at the back of the grid. Now, of course, given the pace Schiaparelli has, he is the championship leader for Season 4 after all. So I would not be surprised to see him make some overtakes and fly around the circuit and maybe try to do a possible last to first. But then again, it is Baku City Circuit. It is very difficult to get these overtakes done, but so we'll have to see how this will all play out. Now, let me go take a look here. Maybe I'm getting my weeks mixed up, as sometimes I do. And, no further action. Oh, nope, okay, nope, the qualifying ban for Schiaparelli was last week, actually. So, never mind what I said, I'm getting my weeks mixed up, so never mind all of that, as he did serve it last week, I believe. Just checking in on the Stewart's office, and, nope, no qualifying bans here. So, just a very blistering fast lap for Schiaparelli, and coming back out on the outlap, and really going to have to be perfect now, as we're down to 3 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Currently, it is Andon in the Racing Point, who is on the bubble at risk of not making it through But still here, lots of time to go. Drivers out on flying laps, and all these drivers in 16th through 20th, either out on out laps or out on flying laps, with most likely the likes of Knight, Carter, Duwill, even Indigo, I would think, and your own most likely might be looking to set one last lap time, or at the very least be out on track by the time the timer in qualifying 1 hits 0, just so they can have a chance of getting an improvement when the track is going to be at its quickest, because you do not want to be caught in the pits in the danger zone by the end of qualifying, because then you're kind of relying on luck, relying on a hope and a dream to make it through into qualifying too. And these drivers, the way they perform can definitely make you pay if you do that. But here we go. Down to 2 minutes to go. Let's take a look and see what Eklund's going to do as he's coming down, barreling that Renault down to the start-finish straight, the very long DRS start-finish straight, as I said it. I keep wanting to call it the back straight, but here we go. Crosses the line up into 12th for Eklund, so does put himself within the top 15, but we'll see how long that's going to last, as we've got lots of drivers out on their flying laps. Schiaparelli currently on a lap right now, coming around turn 3, so we'll see what kind of time he can do. Locks up into turn 4, but doesn't look like that affects him all that much, just barely keeps it out of the wall, does Schiaparelli. But still, that's a purple first sector for him, so looking to be flying now. But now approaching the danger zone, as I said before, this castle section, this turn here specifically, is very difficult. Schiaparelli handles it very well this time around, and learns from the mistake on the previous lap, keeps that front wing intact, continues on his lap, and it's looking to be a pretty good one. But of course, we still have a sector and a little bit to go. Handles the turn 13, I believe, decently well, but has a little bit of a moment with the rear end of the car, it appears. No purple sector, but that's still a near 114 flat as the sector 2 time for the Alfa Romeo driver. So it's looking to be right around on pace with what we saw Passassin do early on in this session. But down the long start-finish straight opens up DRS, and what kind of time is he going to set as the last driver remaining to not get a time on the board? Up into P5 for Schiaparelli, so pretty comfortably through potentially into qualifying too, but we are down to the last few seconds of qualifying. It is Jarno on the bubble, Knight on your screen on the outside looking in, and crucially that's an invalidation for the Red Bull driver at the worst possible moment, right as the time hits 0, so will not be improving. Let's take a look. Duwill, once again, he's on a lap, looking to be good thus far. Let's see what the other Red Bull driver can do. Can he make it through into the top 15? And Andin currently on a lap, a little bit ahead of Duwill. So let's stick with Andin and see if he's going to be able to improve. Coming around that corner, Feral Fury, unfortunately, out of qualifying 1, was not able to improve. Carter is going to be out of qualifying 1. Knight, as mentioned, will be out. Andin sets a purple second sector, so his fastest sector time here so far. So we'll see, can Andin improve on his time? Can he make it through into the top 15, which is currently that 15th place occupied by Ver Indigo. Looks to have his teammate for support as well, up into 9th for Andin. So a very solid lap, and that knocks VR out of qualifying. And let's take a look here. Is Duwill going to improve? Yes, he does improve. So that's Duwill up into the top 10. And that knocks Ver Indigo just on the inside. Will be making it through into qualifying 2. But unfortunately for Sophion, VR46 Jarno, ISRL Knight, Carter, and Feral Fury, they will be the 5 drivers knocked out of qualifying 1, as we just have to wait for the Red Bull team to tow that Red Bull into the pits, and we can move on into qualifying 2. It will be 15 minutes of non-stop qualifying action in just a few moments, and there we have it. So there we go. That is the end of qualifying 1. The timing table, Sweet Crown 19 leading the way after qualifying 1. Rotation in 2nd, Izat Kush in 3rd, Josh in 4th. Chapelelli rounding out the top 5 in times. Passassin in 6th, Jamie 1 in 7th, Fergan 8th, Andon in 9th, and Du Will is rounding out the top 10 with AJ Wuhan, Nathan JB, your own Visser, and Eklund rounding out the top 14. And crucially, Ver Indigo, I didn't see that on stream, but crashed out, so we'll be out of qualifying in that P15, with Sophion, Yarno, Knight, Carter, and Feral Fury to occupying positions 16 through 20th, and equally are out of qualifying. So for drivers in to qualifying 2, they're already in a bit of an advantage, as it is only a top 14 and not a top 15, as the Renault of Ver Indigo that looked to, I believe it was actually in the castle section, as I did see that yellow flag right at the end of the session, but nonetheless, that is going to be the Renault of Ver Indigo out of qualifying, and we have a top 14, as now Ver Indigo has left the session, so hopefully that is connection issues, and that can all get resolved before the start of the race here. But here we go, we will be jumping in to qualifying 2, and it is going to be Rotation who is leading the way in qualifying 2 for the 15 minutes of non-stop action. Now, if I jump in, let's put on the fitted tires to take a look here and see what's happening, because this is where the tire strategy comes into play. Now, assuming we have a dry race, which I haven't had any indication of otherwise from the drivers, from the chats, it looks as though tire strategy will come into effect here, because if you do make it through in the top 10, which is what you are aiming for here in qualifying 2, you want to make it into the top 10 to make it through into qualifying 3, but if you do make it through into qualifying 3, the tire in which you set that fastest lap time on will be the tire you start the race on. So there are strategy implications, as some of these drivers might be trying to get a time on the medium tires, which is those yellow wall tires you're seeing on the screen, rather than the soft tires, which are the red wall tires, just so that they can maybe go a little bit longer and get an advantage on the rest of the grid, being able to go longer and opt for that strategy. Now, in terms of race strategy though, if I'm being completely honest, in a perfect world of the Baku City Circuit racing, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, if you're on the softs, you can very much do a soft to hard one-stop strategy. Now, there is also, I have heard the likes of the man on your screen, Rotation, mention that a soft to mediums is possible, but that does involve a lot of tire management, having to take those soft tires a little bit longer and extending those medium tires a little bit longer, but those tires would be screaming at you if that is the strategy you are going for. So I would expect to see a lot of drivers opting for these soft to hards, but of course you can do potentially a mediums to hards strategy as well, but then again, you might want to have the extra pace on the soft tires. But as mentioned, this is all in an ideal world, but so far from what I've seen in the racing for Division 3, Division 2, and Division 4 as well, I would think safety cars can be known to come out in waves here at the Baku City Circuit. And this all goes back to what I was mentioning in qualifying 1 about the walls. It is very easy to hit the walls, and when you're pushing the track limits to the extent going as fast as you can, it is very easy to hit the wall at high speeds, and from there end your race. And if we have a car crashed out in a very difficult spot, you will see the safety car come out. You will see the virtual safety car come out, and that can throw strategies all on its head. So it is a talking point and something to keep an eye out. But here comes Rotation back to the qualifying action here. Sets a 137.452 as the first lap on the board, and a very fast lap at that, already into the mid 137s for the Alfa Romeo driver. So solid lap time, and we'll see if that'll hold up, as we've got more times that are going to be falling in just a few moments. Schiaparelli, I notice, on an outlap on the medium tires, so is looking to go for maybe a medium to hards. And Jeroen Visser setting a 137.929 as the lap time. Let's take a look. If we Sweetcrown 19 just starting a lap, so we'll switch back over to him. Josh 2 about to cross the line to finish his lap. Let's take a look. What's it going to be? Up into third, it's a 138.164 for the Williams driver. So might be looking to improve on that, given the times we are seeing. Isaac Kush, he's got a lot of pace, but abandons the lap and dives into the pits. So is not going to complete that lap. Maybe just getting a feel of what those tires feel like before going on the medium tires, maybe to set that lap time, if he is feeling comfortable about making it through on the medium tires. And I'm looking here, a little bit of insight from Aizen in the chat. They're probably doing a one-stop, able to take the hards 23 laps. So a one-stop soft to hards, yes, definitely possible. As you're mentioning, some might do soft to mediums. That's true, or maybe even a mediums to softs if they choose to qualify on those medium tires. But we'll have to see, because the mediums to soft or soft to mediums is really going to be reliant on your tire wear, and depending on how well you can handle those rear tires, because those are the tires that are really going to see most of the bulk load from all of the acceleration you're going to be putting this car under through the exit of all these turns. But we'll see how this is all going to play out as the race moves on. Sweetcrown 19 setting a 137.7. So up into second here on the timing tables, but not quick enough to overtake the time set from rotation as the first lap on the board. Now, Ferg in the Ferrari, CRL Ferg, we know he's got a lot of pace here, bringing that Ferrari around for a flying lap. We've got some yellow flags, but nothing to worry about too much here. It is a purple first sector, but with no time on the board for Ferg. You kind of expect to see these purple sectors all around. I noticed Schiaparelli did set a lap on those medium tires, but I believe it was invalidated. But who is that? That's Jamie 1, I believe, into turn 3 from what I can see on the minimap. Let's jump over. Yes, going very deep in the entrance of turn 3, completely overshooting that corner, waiting till it's safe to do so before getting back on track, as you would want to see. But that's going to be a lap abandon, I believe, for Jamie 1, as that is going to be a lot of tire wear. But we'll see if he's going to dive into the pits, or if he's going to maybe get another lap set on those tires and try to make it through with that. But I would think that he's going to get into the pits and maybe put on a fresh set of tires, just given the implications of making it through into the top 10 on your tires. But Ferg setting a 137.994, a purple third sector for his troubles, and puts him up into fourth, but only 5 times on the board so far. But that'll change in just a few moments, as I believe that was Jeroen Visser, maybe Duwill, that had just crossed the line, going slowest of the times on the board, a 138.454, so might need to find a little bit more pace here before the end of the session, but might be, still has some time, to get another time on the board. And let's see, Schiaparelli setting a 138.5, so some slower times being set from these drivers here in qualifying too. But let's see what Andon can do on the soft tires. Up into P5, that's a near 138 flat for the Racing Point. So up into P5, so puts himself into a decent position, but loads the time to see this order change before the end of this race. Here comes Jamie 1, I believe, as mentioned, doesn't have the DRS open, is diving into the pits as I expected. Passassin on a lap right now as well. He's on the medium tires too, so he's looking to trust his pace on those medium tires and maybe get that more optimal medium tire start for his strategy. And we'll see how that'll play out as he's approaching the end of Sector 1. Does go fastest, or personal fastest time for Vapor Passassin on those medium tires. But still 2 sectors to go, and loads of time to see drivers improve. Now, I'll get back to Passassin, but I want to take a look at Izat Kush and see what kind of time well, actually, now that I mention it, I took a look. He's missing a front wing, so lost it along the way, dropped it out of his pocket, so most likely will be diving into the pits here. I would be very surprised if he continues on for one more lap with that car the way it is. But Passassin now looking to get, oh my goodness, that's very, very interesting maneuvers there from the likes of Passassin. And who was that? That was Chapalelli, who was maybe having, I'm not too sure if they were having a little bit of fun or what was going on. Passassin did abandon his lap, as it definitely wasn't going to be one to remember. But a little bit of an interesting drive there from the likes of Chapalelli and Passassin, as Chapalelli completely cutting that corner, and then having to allow Passassin to completely duck out of the way. But I hope, at least, that was all in good fun between the 2 drivers. But back to the qualifying action. We've got 4.5 minutes to go in qualifying 2, with only 8 drivers who have times on the board. But this might change as AJ sets a 1:39.5 up into 9th, but will need to find a lot more time than that if he wants to be comfortable to make it through into that top 10 shootout. Nathan JB using his teammate for help of Andin. You can see that there with some slipstream, giving him the tow, barreling down, getting out of the way now to allow the slingshot, and up into 5th comes Nathan JB. So good work from the Racing Point team to bring Nathan up into P5, and probably going to be repaying the favor to his teammate here, as I believe now it is Andin who's going to be, well, I thought he was going to be starting on a lap, but going very slow now is Andin. So I think maybe not going to be doing a lap, and just going to be going into the pits and put on, or maybe go around one more time with those tires. We'll have to see how that plays out. Your own Visser, he's happy with his time up into P4 right now, so he retires out of qualifying, does not want to go back out on track and get another time set in qualifying too. And sitting in the high 137s, given the, given right around where I'm seeing these times, is looking a little bit comfortable, but we've got lots of drivers in these 137.9s, of your own Nathan, Ferg, and even Andin with a 138 flat nearly. So lots of time to see how this is going to play out. But I believe the racing engineers at Haas feel that that car is comfortable where he is, and might be making it through into qualifying 3 either way. But we'll have to see how these lap times play out, as it is the top 10 who will be making it through. And we have only 10 drivers who have laps set, but the likes of Eklund and Jamie 1 out on their flying laps right now, keeping it down to the last possible moment where they can get times set. We've got some yellow flags ahead, as I believe that might be the Racing Point of Andin just going a little bit slow. Is he out of fuel maybe? No, not out of, well, potentially. Is Roland very slow here? Yes, he is out of fuel. So that's a bit of a costly mistake, staying out for that extra lap, but giving his teammate help in the process, as now we're starting to see drivers retire, feeling comfortable with their times. But we'll see how this order is going to shake up. We've got a minute and a half to go in qualifying, and still 4 times left to be set, and some fast times at that. Eklund coming down and looked to be going a little bit slow, but maybe it was just the optical illusion of the camera angle. Up into 8th, for the Renault driver, so a decent time, but definitely not comfortable, as we have the likes of Izat Kush, Passassin, who still have yet to set times, and we know they are normally drivers, big contenders for pole normally in qualifying 3, but gonna have to get the lap together. Looks as though Izat Kush has a decent lap going, as he's into Sector 3 now with that AlphaTauri, and had a purple second sector for his time, flying around this that little chicane section there, and opens up DRS, barreling across the line, taking the quickest path to the line. What kind of time is it gonna be? Only 9th fastest for Izat Kush, so very not the pace we're used to seeing. So maybe struggling a little bit here around Baku City Circuit compared to some of the others, but that's a 138.3, and right now maybe on the cusp of not making it through into qualifying 3. But let's take a look and see how this is playing out. We have Chapelelli, who's actually out of qualifying at the moment, but just crosses the line in time with 5 seconds to go. AJ, who's on an outlap, but will not be making it through in time, so he is going to be out of qualifying. Let's take a look at Passassin riding on board with him. Let's see what Passassin is going to do as he's coming around Sector 3 and comes through the last maybe tough moment of Sector 3. And currently with no time on the board, where is his time going to put him? Barrels down the line, crosses it, up into 9th, which knocks Izat Kush in the top 10, but just barely in the top 10, as he is not on a lap, so we'll be relying on maybe a little bit of luck. Chapelelli in 12th on a lap. We'll see if he can improve and make it through into that top 10 shootout. Will also coming through the end of Sector 2, approaching Sector 3. And what kind of time is the Red Bull driver going to be putting up? Can he make it through into this top 10 shootout? Currently on the outside looking in, will need to go faster than he did previously. Opens up DRS, will be committing to the lap across the line, up into 9th. So that's Izat Kush currently out of qualifying 2 and will not be improving. Chapelelli is going to be coming around Sector 3, kept it clean. Passassin on the cusp of being knocked out, assuming Chapelelli can improve and go faster than the time set by Passassin. But as Chap crosses the line, up into P1, sets the fastest lap of qualifying 2. And this is knocking out Passassin. Will can breathe a sigh of relief as he is safe through into qualifying 3. But very surprising to see the likes of Passassin and Izat Kush not in making it through, and on the outside looking in here for qualifying 3, being knocked out of qualifying 2, along with AJ Wuhan and Jamie 1, who crucially did not have a time set in qualifying 2, so maybe a little bit of track limit issues for the Mercedes driver as he is out of the qualifying session. But there we have it. Chapelelli sets the fastest time and breaks into the 136s with his teammate Rotation up on the top of the leaderboards right alongside him. Josh Chu in 3rd and Sweetcrown 19 in 4th. Both Williams drivers in 3-4. The Haas of your own Visser in 5th, Nathan JB in 6th, Ferg in 7th, Andin in 8th, Eklund in 9th, and Will rounding out the top 10 with Passassin in 11th, Izat Kush in 12th, AJ Wuhan in 13th, Jamie 1 in 14th, but they are going to be out of qualifying, Passassin, Izat, AJ, and Jamie 1. But consolation is that they will get free choice of tires to start the race, so maybe that also affected their strategy and the call to not set their fastest times, looking to get that fresh set of tires and run their own strategy and work their way up the grid from there. But for us, we are moving on. It is time for the most exciting spectacle in motorsports. It is the top 10 shootout. It is qualifying 3, and this is where we can decide the order for the top 10 drivers. Who will get pole position? We will find out in about 11 minutes and 40 seconds time, as we are just awaiting. And look at this, it's going to be Rotation leading the way. Once again, he's really only needed one lap in these first 2 qualifying sessions to get his time set. But here in qualifying 3, we'll see, will he be doing 1 lap, or maybe he's going to want to do 2 to solidify his position here at the top of the leaderboards. And if Formula Fridays is any indication of what we can expect, Rotation has a lot of pace here around this circuit. So definitely keep an eye out on the Alfa Romeo driver during the race and during this qualifying session, because I know he's got pace and is looking for a strong result after being caught up in a few unfortunate incidents, which has affected his driver's championship position, and in the likes, of trying to keep up with the likes of Shapalili, Izat Kush, for just to give a few examples. But speaking of, while we're watching this outlap here, let's pull up these stats, let's pull up these standings, and in the Drivers' Championship, it is Shapalili leading the way, with Izat Kush in second, and Sweet Crown 19 rounding out the top 3, so still in third, but not where we're used to seeing the 3-time world champion of Division 1. Normally he's right up there and might need a little bit of a help if he wants to close up that gap, given that Shapalili is leading the way with 195 points, and Izat in second only has 120, with Sweet Crown 19 with 107 here. The only 3 drivers to break the 100-point mark. The driver on your screen getting his first flying lap, Rotation, only with 39 points and currently sitting in 12th in the Drivers' Championship, so is definitely going to have to string a few solid events if he wants to climb his way back up the grid and really put himself in contention for a top 5 at the very least in these Drivers' Championship. But we'll see. It all starts with a strong race here around Baku City Circuit, and he's been showing a lot of pace here in qualifying up until now, and we'll see if this can continue in qualifying 3. Has a purple first sector to start off his lap, so it's going to be a good one. Through into the castle section, keeps it clean. On the exit, cuts that corner, but keeps it valid through the exit as well, which is a very tricky portion to keep on the track without invalidating. The stewards love to ding. Ooh, a little bit of a moment there. That was either Nathan or Andon who had to get out of the way, and thankfully there's no wing damage for any one of those drivers, as they were kind of caught in a rock and a hard place, having to get out of the way for Rotation, who was on a flying lap. I believe that was Andon, who's on his outlap right now, maybe waiting for his teammate. You see it now on screen as Rotation is going to cross the line. I'll switch over to Nathan, as we know Rotation is going to set the... Oh, but Rotation dives into the pits, so doesn't finish that lap, as he feels he can go faster. Nathan will be coming across the line, first time on the board. It's a 138.232, and now might be looking to get ahead of his teammate of Andon to see what he can do. Your own Visser, another fast time from the Haas driver, setting a 137.6, with Sweet Crown 19 currently in second with a 138.053 for his time, and only in P2, and with Nathan in third, Eklund in fourth, and Josh 2 rounding out the top 5. But we have a few more drivers who need to put some times on the board. Next to do so will be CRL Ferg in the Ferrari. Had a purple second sector to his name, so it's going to be a pretty quick lap from what I can see here. Barreling across the line. What's it going to be for the Ferrari driver? Up into fourth. That's a 138.389. Now, Schiaparelli, let's see, on a flying lap himself, as I'm going to put up my sector times and the telemetry so I can get an idea of who's on a lap, who's not on a lap here. Up into 7th, coming around the swooping right-handed corners into the hard downhill braking zone. Cuts the corner just enough to keep it valid. Taking those esports lines, I would say, is Schiaparelli really trusting the car to keep it out of the wall. And where can he bring that number 76 Alfa Romeo car, as he has a purple second sector barreling around the last little chicane there, if you can even call it that, across the opens up DRS, coming down the last little bit of the lap, takes the fastest place to the line and sets a 137.214 for the fastest lap and takes provisional pole here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, but still 6 minutes to go in qualifying, as drivers have set their first laps, and we're going to be seeing drivers coming out on their second flying laps here sooner rather than later as they come around, get that fresh set of tires on. But this is where the drivers are going to be at their quickest. The track is going to be at its quickest. The tires are going to be at its quickest, as they always are. So get ready if you're watching from home. It's going to be a good one, and I'm very excited for how this is going to play out. Who will take pole? We will find out in 5.5 minutes time. Will it be Schiaparelli, currently on the top step? Will it be Sweet Crown 19, who's in third? Will it be the man you've seen on screen here, Rotation, who's just starting his second flying lap and will stick with them as he is the only driver on a flying lap right now? Takes a very wide line through turn 1 on the exit there, but keeping it clean, keeping it handy. Down into turn 2, barreling down into turn 3, and let's jump on board to give a bit more of an idea of the speed he's taking. Through into turn 3, approaching turn 4 now, very tricky, a little bit of a lockup there for Rotation, but nothing to be worried about. Sets a sector 1 time that is not a fastest sector 1 time, so we'll need to try to find some time in sector 2 or sector 3. But this is a very technical portion of the circuit now. Takes that right-hander, cuts a lot of it up into the castle section, so close to the wall, but just keeping it out there and riding that curb on the exit. Does a good job not losing the back end, handling the power of the acceleration of this Alfa Romeo Formula 1 car. The downhill left-hander hops the curb, as we've seen so many drivers do in Division 1, as it is the most optimal line, but albeit it is a bit of a butt clencher, if I'm being honest, because you have that half second of feeling like you might just bump it right into the wall. But here we go. Excuse me. Down through the final portion here, opens up DRS, barreling down to the start-finish straight. What kind of time is Rotation going to be putting up? It's not faster than Schiaparelli's time, but good enough for a provisional P2 for the Alfa Romeo driver. But now with 3.5 minutes to go, you have Ferg on an outlap, Josh 2 on an outlap, and expect to see these other drivers leave the pits and get started on their flying laps sooner rather than later, as with about a little over 3 minutes to go, not much more time to get these times on the board to compete for that pole position. And especially if you're Andon and Dewey, you're going to have to be perfect here in qualifying 3, as you do not have a time on the board. So if you do invalidate or mess up, that is the end of your qualifying, and you will be starting right in the middle of the pack, which is not ideal here for the Baku City circuit. But Josh 2 finishing his outlap, has his ERS active now as he's looking to take the maximum amount of speed across the line, starting his lap leading into turn 1. How will he improve, or how much will he improve by? If he does improve, we will find out in just a few moments, as now we have more drivers out on their outlap. Sweet Crown 19 has just left. I'm seeing a Red Bull. I believe that's Do Will coming out on track now to get that outlap done and get that one and only flying lap up on his name and put a time to his name, excuse me. But let's see, we're sticking here with Josh Chews. He's going to take us around the circuit, approaching the first chicane, one of the very tricky portions to get right if you're not familiar with the line, but handles it pretty well, does Josh too. Buys are fast for sure. Weather report. No weather report for myself, one wing. So we're going in blind. The drivers know a little bit more than we do. But given from what I've seen, I saw some runners on the mediums. I saw some runners on the softs. So I feel as though it might be a dry race to at least start things off for the race. But we will find out in a few moments' time. But first, we got to figure out who's starting on pole. So, let's see, will it be Josh 2 as he's coming through Sector 3? He's got his teammate for help of SweetCrowd19 who timed it perfectly, and Farrell giving us all dry, so it looks as though it is going to be a dry race thanks to our in-house weatherman. And there we go, Josh 2, not the fastest time, but up into P4, so a pretty strong lap time for the Williams driver. But now as SweetCrowd19 is going to start his time, and Ferg is looking to get a time on the board. Everybody else currently on their outlaps. We've got yellow flags around Sector 2 as it looks to be your own Visser maybe slowing down, letting the Racing Points get a little bit of a gap, but gonna have to watch out because Eklund is on an outlap right behind and don't want to get involved with that. But Ferg coming around, sets a purple second sector, 4/10, nearly 5/10, half a second faster, and we'll see if he's going to improve. It looks to be a pretty fast lap, but might need to find a bit more time here in Sector 3 if he wants to compete for pole. He opens up the DRS. Qualifying is over. It is for all the marbles, excuse me. Now, Ferg up into 5th for his first time, and I believe SweetCrowd19 will be the next driver to get a time on the board. Let's take a look. 2/10 faster, so not as fast as he was hoping for, and is going to have to find so much more time here. 6/10, excuse me, in Sector 2, as it only showed me the Sector 1. So it's going to be a quick lap, but might need to find a little bit more here in Sector 3 if he wants to compete for pole. Barreling down the long start-finish straight, opens up DRS, taking the fastest rate to the line. What's it going to be? Up into 3rd for SweetCrowd19. So not a pole position start for the Williams driver, but still a provisional P3. Who is next? I believe that's going to be DeWill, who's going to be next to put a time up on the board. And coming down the long start-finish straight himself, what kind of time will DeWill put up for his first lap time? He might have a little bit of help there, as the Chapelelli goes faster, a near 137 flat, and solidifies that provisional pole. DeWill up into 7th, but all eyes are on the last remaining drivers. Will it be your own Visser maybe making a push for pole, or will it be Eklund who might be making a push for pole, as Andon set a 138.2. Eklund up into 7th, so not going, is faster, but not fastest. Your own Visser coming across and diving into the pits, so abandoning his lap, and that is it for qualifying. It is going to be an Alfa Romeo 1-2, led by the championship leader of all people, Chapelelli. On your screen you saw there, will be starting on pole, gets that P1, and will be starting ideally at the front of the grid with his teammate Rotation in second, starting on the front row of the grid right alongside him. Second row will be occupied by SweetCrowd19 and your own Visser, with the third row occupied by Josh 2 and CRL Ferg. Row 4 will be Eklund and DeWill qualifying 7th and 8th, with Andon and Nathan JB qualifying 9th and 10th, and will be taking the 5th row of the grid. But that has been qualifying. But don't go anywhere, because it is time for the race in just a few moments. And I will take a quick sip of water, and we will be right back to take us into the race. and here we are. We are here. It is going to be race time in just a few moments as the drivers are getting their final strategy calls set up before we jump into the formation lap and into the race. Welcome to Baku. Welcome to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. If you are just joining us, it is time for the race. It is the Division 1 World Championship here at ISRL Esports. I'm Fallen Monkeys, your host here in the commentator's booth, normally joined by ISRL X, who's leading the way, but I am here taking over at least for this week, and we should be back to normal next week. But for now, it is I myself here leading the charge, and I hope you're all enjoying the show as much as I am. If you just joined us, you just missed qualifying, and my, what a qualifying that was. But it is time now for the main event. It is time for the race, but we will be just going through the formation lap first and foremost before we can kick off the 26 laps of Baku City Circuit. And it appears, though the weather report was accurate, it is going to be a dry race here, at least to start off, as it is going to be Shapaleli leading the way from rotation in second, Sweet Crown 19 in third, Your Own Visser in fourth, and Josh 2 rounding out the top five, as there's already some contact between Sweet Crown and Your Own Visser, and they get booted back to the line. Ferg in 6th, Eklund in 7th, Do Will in 8th, Endin in 9th, and Nathan JB rounding out the top 10, all on these soft tires. Now, looking here at the rest of the grid, we have Vapor Passassin in the McLaren on the mediums, Izat Kush on the hards in 12th, AJ Wuhan on the hards in 13th, Jamie 1 on the mediums in 14th, Indigo on the hards in 15th, Sophion on the hards in 16th, VR46 Yarno on the mediums in 17th, Knight on the hards in 18th, Carter on the hards in 19th, and Feral Fury rounding out the grid order in 20th on the medium tires. So we do see the top 10 on the softs as they set their fastest lap time in, and the rest of the grid here, 11th through 20th, all opting for the harder tires, looking to go a little bit longer and run a bit of a different strategy here for the race. So we'll see how this is all gonna play out as we are just awaiting for the end of the formation lap. Drivers getting their tires in the optimal condition, in the optimal temperature, especially those hard tire runners that take a little bit longer than the rest, so you don't bog down off the start. But once they line back up on the grid, we will have the 5 red lights. We will have the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here at Baku City Circuit. 26 laps of non-stop action, and this is going to be a good one, so don't go anywhere. We will be kicking off the race in just a few moments. And there we go. We have the predicted pit stop strategy, predicting a soft to hards or a soft medium soft, thanks to AWS Amazon Web Services giving us that optimal tire strategy for the soft tire runners, not really giving us much of anything for the mediums and the hards. But here we go. The drivers have lined up on the grid, and we will be kicking things off for 26 laps around Baku City Circuit. It is time for the race, and we are just awaiting for the 5 red lights to kick us off. We are go 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights, and they're off, and away we go, as it is Shapaleli leading the way, getting the start he was hoping for, taking the ideal line. We've got Sweet Crown 19, oh no, that's Josh 2 and Ferg battling it out. I'm seeing some bits and pieces of front wing flying around here, as Izat Kush falling down the order here very early on, getting caught up into incidents. But through all of this, Ferg and Josh 2 going side by side as they're barreling down into turn 3, getting a little bit more single file, and it is Josh who's going to be holding on to that position. but drivers for the most part keeping clean. We've got nearly 2 wide of Passassin and Duwil battling it out. Ver Indigo wanting to get involved in this as well. Maybe a little bit of a switchback move for Indigo as he's trying to get this done. There's the strategy for the hard tire runners as we've got movement all around the circuit. But what happened to Izak Kush as he was in 11th to start off the race and all the way down the order in 19th, and that's actually wing damage for the AlphaTauri drivers, so not what he was hoping for here for the start of the race, as it's really going to be a recovery drive, but already gaining a position as, oh no, we have a virtual safety car. What happened here? I think that was maybe for AJ Wuhan, who was falling down the order. Looks like he took some contact in the castle section against the wall, and that is no front wing on that McLaren car, so that is 100% going to be a pit stop. And that puts a bit of a damper in his strategy as he was hoping to go along on those hard tires, but already it has not disappointed as we are here under virtual safety car to start off the race. And my, what a start that was for the race. Josh 2 going into the pits, getting a different set of tires on, and that's Duwil going into the pits as well under the virtual safety car. So already some early pit stop runners, but we are back to green here, starting lap 2. And let's take a look. Andin getting a nice restart, putting some pressure on Eklund as DRS is now enabled here for lap 2. I think it's showing lap 3 on our timing tables, but we know that's not right, as it's also showing AJ Wuhan in the lead, but we know that's not the case there. But looks as though drivers got away fairly cleanly here for the at least off the safety car restart, or the virtual safety car restart. Still showing us the tire strategies there, really wants to give us that indication. But we are here in the race. Nathan JB putting pressure on Ver Indigo. Let's see, coming through into the castle section, not really much room for overtaking here. And oh no, but that was Ver Indigo having a moment into the castle section. Oh, and there's some contact, a little bit of drifting here, but it looks as though it is going to be Nathan JB getting that move done, overtaking Ver Indigo. So a costly mistake for the Renault driver here, as has fallen down into P10. Passassin up into 8th after starting in 11th, so a decent start for the McLaren driver, but it's still Schiaparelli leading the way from rotation in 2nd, and Sweet Crown 19 rounding out the top 3. So a bit of a top 3 you'd come to expect, and I feel as though they're going to be battling it out for the entirety of this race. But here comes Jamie 1 going side by side with Indigo, and it is going to be Jamie 1 who does get the move done going into turn 1, as DRS now is enabled for real this time, as now Ver Indigo trying to make that lunge right back. Oh no, that was contact. Oh my goodness, a huge bit of a brake check as Indigo was avoiding action for Nathan JB, as he and Jamie 1 got caught up into an incident, and they're falling way down the order now. But we got to continue racing here, as Feral Fury putting some pressure on Knight, who he himself putting pressure on VR, who he is putting pressure on Indigo. So a bit of a 4-car battle here in the middle of the pack in these early stages of the race to get this sorted out, as we still have battles here for the top 3, a little bit of a gap, but more battles down the order, as drivers are staying very, very close, not giving any moments to breathe. But this is where we might see some positions being changed, as, oh no, what's going on here? Indigo having a moment, he's facing the wrong way, getting back on track, and that's a lot of wing damage, as he has no front wing, falling down the order, so costly mistake for the driver. And we have another virtual safety car for that incident, I believe, as oh, that's Ver Indigo out of the race. What happened here? As oh no, he hit the wall and that broke the tire, and we are back under virtual safety car. So thankfully not a full safety car, as we are already back to going green, but the timing could not have been worse for what I can only assume for Sweet Crown 19, as he was probably really hoping to get a move done. but the likes of Knight going down the inside of VR46 Yarno, looking to get that move done, and does make it stick to go up into 9th. So Knight making those hard tires work, and after not having the qualifying he was hoping for, showing a lot of pace here in the race, already up into 9th, and keeping it clean through the time being. Josh, too, kind of got caught up here in some incidents early on, in 14th, but putting pressure on Jamie 1, and look at the pace he's closing up on. There we go, going side by side now, and does get the overtake done on Jamie 1. VR and Knight still battling it out. This battle is not over just yet. I switched a little bit too soon. It is still Knight holding on to that P9, but VR needing to stay in the, needing to keep the pressure up, and he is, but now Feral Fury, as you saw right behind, wants to get involved in this as well and make this a bit of a 3-car battle. You can see a little bit of front wing off in the castle section. That might be from Indigo's car, but honestly it could be from any one of these 20 drivers, as we might see pieces of front wing galore here around the circuit before the race is over, as these walls are already showing their teeth and showing that they do not care where you are, who you are, what position you're in. They will affect you nonetheless. Now let's take a look. Rotation putting some pressure on Schiaparelli, but I don't think teammates are going to battle it out all that much, at least in these early stages, as they're probably looking to work together to hold back Sweet Crown 19, as he's keeping up the pressure but not able to close up as much as he was hoping for. Passassin taking a pit stop here on lap 5 and putting on the hard tires, so opting to get off, and oh my goodness, that was rotation going very deep into turn 3, and that gave Sweet Crown 19 a very easy position to go up into 2nd, and now this 3-way battle has turned into a 2-way battle for P1 and P2, and Ferg finds himself in a podium position here in these early stages, albeit a lot can change, as, oh, who is that? Is that, I believe that's Jamie 1, similar to what we saw in qualifying, going very deep. Oh my goodness, Passassin coming around and nearly getting caught up right into that incident right after coming out of the pits. But what awareness from the McLaren driver, able to avoid the contact, go around, and continue on his way. But that's a lot of wing damage on the Mercedes of Jamie 1, and probably going to be a pit stop for a front wing change at that. But here on lap 5, Jeroen Visser is approaching Ferg, looking to put that pressure on the Ferrari driver. Will have DRS to help out as he's closing already without it. You can see the difference in pace. I believe Jeroen has a bit of a better front wing, and that's Schiaparelli taking a pit stop here to start lap 6. Sweet Crown 19 continuing onwards. So Jeroen Visser overtakes Ferg and now is up into 2nd, as we're starting to see these soft tire runners make their pit stops, and Schiaparelli opting for the hard tires. Coming down the start-finish straight, it is Josh 2 making an overtake on Carter. That was up into 10th now, as Schiaparelli is out of the pits on those hard tires, down in 12th, and has his work cut out for him, as he's going to have a lot of overtaking to do on track before seeing that P1 once again. But the battle is also going to come down to where Sweet Crown comes out of the pits, as he's still in the lead, driving a bit of a race of his own now, but will be needing to take a pit stop sometime within probably the next lap or two, I would think, to put on that fresh set of tires to make it to the end of the race, because definitely won't be making it all the way on that initial set of soft tires. Now, I saw a little bit of piece of front wing fly out there. Maybe that was from Andin, but I keep switching over. Let's take a look. No, that's not from Andin, so potentially another driver who got caught up on the wall in the castle section, or that could have also very well been that piece of front wing we saw earlier on. But it's been, we've seen a few incidents, a few mistakes from drivers that have proved costly. But other than the chaos in the first lap, I think now the nerves have started to settle down. drivers are starting to have that groove and figuring out what they can and can't do here on race day. But now we're seeing Sweet Crown 19 and Eklund and Andon as well diving into the pits, putting on those fresh set of tires. Josh 2 getting an overtake, going side by side with Feral Fury. They're approaching turn 1, and it is going to be Josh 2 who gets that move done and goes up into 6th, with Feral Fury falling down into 7th now. And so Josh 2 doing a good job of nice recovery drive after the early mistake, already back up into 6th, and looking to close up to Jarno, who, to be fair, is still keeping a lot of pressure on ISRL Knight for that P4, but Knight looking to go a long way on those hard tires. And you can see now Jarno getting a little bit of better traction. Knight with a big lockup through the chicane, but squeezes Jarno out, and this opened the door for Josh 2. My goodness, what a lovely tree that was. Here we go, going side by side is the Williams and the Ferrari, and it is Josh 2 who gets that position done. What a view entering the castle sections. You can see just how close they get to that wall on the right hand side, but no touching of the wall, or else that's going to end very poorly for you. But Josh 2 charging up the order, up into 5th now, and looking to put a lot of pressure on Knight, and I would not be surprised if he's able to get an overtake done on the Red Bull driver down this very long start-finish straight. But looking here at the pit stop battle, I guess I could say it is Chapelelli ahead of Sweet Crown 19, but crucially Eklund is ahead of Sweet Crown 19 as well. Ferg taking a pit stop now. He opted to stay out at least one lap longer. Here we go. Josh 2 going down the inside of Knight. Does get the move done well before turn 1 and does go up into 3rd. But still, rotation is in 2nd now. Still staying out on those soft tires with that fresh, not broken front wing. And your own Visser in 1st. So after having that incident, I think rotation is continuing onwards and trying to extend a bit of a gap for when he does opt to take a pit stop. But Chapelelli overtaking Feral Fury to go up into 6th and putting a few more cars between the likes of himself and Sweet Crown 19 as he's trying to get up the order. Sweet Crown 19 kind of stuck in the back of this train of cars of Ferg, Eklund, Carter, and Feral Fury. Some of them have taken a pit stop, and they're all stuck behind Carter. So close to Ferg was Sweet Crown 19 in terms of taking some contact. Oh no, who was that? That's Chapelelli in the castle section. That brings out a virtual safety car. Not a full safety car, crucially, but a costly mistake, as now Chapelelli finds himself behind Sweet Crown 19 with no front wing to go along with that, and that's going to be another pit stop just one lap in after he put on those hards to hopefully go to the end. So a costly mistake for Chapelelli, and that'll put him down the order, and is going to be a bit of a recovery drive. And as we're back to green now, he's going to have his work cut out for him, and this might have actually been a bit of a gift that Sweet Crown 19 needed in terms of his championship battles, seeing Isaac Kush down the order. Now, Chapelelli is going to have to fall down the order, but the job's only half done, as Sweet Crown 19 is still going to have to get a fair share of overtakes done, as he's still stuck in the tail end of this train of cars here, led the way by Josh 2, led the way by what looks to be Feral Fury, but now Jarno looking to put some pressure on your own Visser. Now we're seeing some moves as Ferg going down the inside of Carter and does get that move to stick, and there Sweet Crown 19 makes no mistake and sees that gap open, and crucially look who's right there behind on the fresh set of medium tires. It is Rotation who took a pit stop, making easy work of Carter, and puts himself right behind Sweet Crown 19 here in P8, P9, but still they're both behind Ferg, who stayed out one lap later and really made it work as he made the overcut work wonders as he's ahead, but being pressured now, and my oh my, look at how close all these cars are coming through the castle section. You're hoping and praying that there's no contact, no incidents here, because that could lead to a very damaging results for everyone. But you can see Sweetcrown 19 trying to get past the Ferrari, makes that move down the inside just to show Ferg he's still there in his mirrors, but no move is going to be done. But maybe down this long back straight we might see the overtake happen. Ferg starting to lose pace a little bit on these drivers ahead on those hard tires, but still doing a good job of holding off Sweetcrown 19. Look at this 2x2 barreling down across the line, and that might get Eklund ahead of Feral. Oh yes, so Eklund ahead. Oh, but Sweetcrown 19 gets a little overzealous and makes contact with the rear tire of Feral Fury, trying to get that second move done. So a costly mistake from Sweetcrown 19. Let's see him fall down to 12th, and maybe not happy with himself, as he maybe should have tried to stick to where he was with that one position on Ferg, but just had nowhere to go, stuck on the inside. Passassin taking a penalty for ignoring yellow flags for some odd reason, as I didn't really see yellow flags. Rotation gets past Ferg now here on circuit as he's trying to continue his way back up the order. But crucially, it's Josh 2 leading the way here on lap 10 after the early calamities. Finds himself leading the race with a 2-second gap to your own Visser, who's on a fresh set of medium tires, with Knight up into a podium position there, making those hard tires work, and still keeping that Ferrari of VR46 Yarno behind him, and Eklund rounding out the top 5. But we're seeing battles everywhere on track, as these drivers really aren't giving anybody room to get these overtakes done. Now, crucially, Sweetcrown 19 has not taken any wing damage, so it was just a spin and nothing more. Maybe those tires feeling a little bit more wear, but now is trying to close up to Passassin for that P11. But Passassin putting a lot of pressure here on Andin. Eklund got ahead of Yarno as VR is diving into the pits. Passassin does get ahead of Andin, and will we see, oh my goodness, Sweetcrown 19, will he try to make a move? No, was just a little bit too far back, as VR putting on a set of soft tires, interestingly enough. Ferg and Feral Fury, excuse me, going side by side now. Feral Fury getting the move done on those medium tires on the Ferrari, so showing he's still got pace, but Ferg still keeping that nose around the outside, but it's not going to mean much, as he still has the Haas driver ahead of him rather than behind him like he was hoping. But rotation back up into 5th, now trying to close that gap up on Eklund here, but gonna have to pick his moment, as you don't want to be forcing something that won't stick, because more often than not that can cause issues for yourself more than anybody else. But now we've got some gaps starting to form, just a tiny little bit here. Not much of gaps, just like 1 point whatever seconds. Sweetcrown 19 getting ahead of Andin, and further down the order, Shapalili putting a lot of pressure on Nathan here. They're approaching the castle section, not much of a place for an overtake, barring a mistake. So Shapalili gonna have to go slower than what he's used to going around here, but we might see him try to make a lunge around either in this section or through the next section once we get past to the corners. But hang on a minute, here comes Passassin around the outside of Carter here to try to get a move done. Rotation getting past Eklund while all of that was happening, a little bit further ahead. So rotation up into 4th, Passassin up into 8th. Sweetcrown 19 now is going to try to get the move done on Carter, but not able to close up enough, as he's going to have to wait a little bit longer behind the Mercedes car. VR46 Yarno making a move on AJ. Ferg and Feral Fury battling it out once again. Same place, just 1 lap later, as Shapalili does finally get past the the racing point of Nathan JB. Sweetcrown 19 gets past Carter. But you can see now Carter and Andon battling it out here, as it is Andon who gets that move done. So Carter down into 11th place, but still keeping a lot of pressure on the likes of Andon, and who he is trying to stick with Sweet Crown 19. But with a little bit of clean air, this might be where we start seeing the Williams drivers start to drive away a little bit, and trying to close that gap right back up to Passassin, as they're trying to work their way back up the grid. But it is Josh 2 still leading the way here on lap 12. And other than a few virtual safety cars, it's been a pretty clean race, all things considered, here in Tier 1. Not many incidents to report from a driver-on-driver perspective. Really just drivers making mistakes, and this circuit, Baku City Circuit, making the drivers pay for it. But here comes Eklund on rotation, but I think they might try to both make the move on Knight. Eklund wisely backs out, but gets a bit more of a tighter ideal line, gets the traction done, and Rotation and Eklund both get past the Red Bull of Knight, who's maybe starting to feel the wear a little bit of those hard tires, but can still take them a little bit longer, as he's probably trying to go hard to softs, run the reverse strategy compared to everybody else on the grid. Your own Visser putting a lot of pressure now on Josh 2, as he's on much fresher medium tires, and we'll see how this is going to play out, as Rotation is still in third, but has a little bit of a gap to try to close up to the likes of your own Visser. But still a good recovery drive for Rotation, all things considered, as he was caught up into a bit of an incident early on. But here on track, we have Duwill overtaking Carter. So Carter really not feeling those hard tires as much as he was maybe a few laps ago, and starting to lose out on a few positions. But here comes Passassin getting the overtake done on Feral Fury as they approach this corner here. The very sharp downhill, bit of a lockup from Passassin, but able to keep it clean, make the move stick. So Passassin in 7th, Feral Fury down to 8th, but Feral Fury keeping up the pressure, using a little bit of his DRS to try to stay with Passassin and stay within the DRS range, so he doesn't risk losing the likes to Sweet Crown 19. Now, your own Visser, while all of that was happening, takes the lead of the race here on lap 14, overtaking Josh 2, who's maybe he himself starting to feel the wear, and Sweet Crown 19 pitting off of the hard tires, looking to put on something a little bit different, maybe go for the medium tires. So a lot of these leaders really not having a race we're used to seeing for them. Izat Kush down in 12th. Sweet Crown 19 changing his front wing, putting on a set of medium tires. Chapelelli down in 17th. The only one who's really having a decent race so far is Rotation, but up into 3rd, but really should be battling it out for the win, you would think, based on pace. But not to take away from any of these other drivers who have just been absolutely killing it here and doing a good job just keeping it clean, staying focused, and holding on to that right mindset around, and staying in the proper mindset here around the circuit. But we're still 12 laps to go. Anything can happen, even more so here at this circuit among all else, as Passassin now is putting pressure on Ferg. Is the move gonna be done? Here, Ferg taps the wall, so loses a lot of speed here, but Passassin just doesn't have enough room to get that move to stick through that corner. But now, as he's approaching this little chicane-like fast section here, staying with it, you can see the pace difference between the two of them. Rotation getting past Josh 2 as Josh dives into the pits. Passassin, I'm getting my vapors mixed up, overtaking Ferg to go up into what is now 5th place now, as Ferg falls down into 6th as Josh 2 comes out of the pits, putting on a new set of medium tires. Knight back up in 4th after all of that, so having a solid race, but now might need to focus, keep an eye out on the driver behind, as Passassin is only 1.6 seconds behind. Chapelelli setting the fastest lap of the race. Isaac Kush taking another pit stop on the medium tires. But it's looking as though, at least for now, taking these medium tires 15-16 laps should in theory be doable for the likes of your own Visser and Rotation, given what I know from these drivers. But they just have to manage those tires ever so slightly in order to get the move, or in order to keep those positions and get a solid haul of points in these Drivers' Championship and for their own constructors in the Constructors' Championship. Excuse me, but back here on the action, Ferg and Fassassin still closing up to Knight, and then Knight looked as though he rode the wall, and crucially he's missing a little piece of end plate on that Red Bull's front wing, so maybe gonna be experiencing a loss of downforce, and that might open the door for Fassassin and Ferg to really close up here. But we'll have to see, because it's tough to make the overtakes in the corners. You really have to rely on these straights. But here is Rotation overtaking your own Visser, falling into that pace, and there you see Fassassin going down the inside of Knight, and I think Ferg is going to want to get involved with this as well, as Ferg now going down the inside of the Red Bull driver, so Knight kind of caught a little bit flat-footed with nowhere to go on those much more worn hard tires, as he's down into 6th, with the likes of Fassassin and Ferg getting the overtakes done in a span of 2 corners, and they can really start trying to close that gap up now to Eklund, who's running in a podium position and kind of running a race of his own. Your own Visser still doing solid in 2nd, with Rotation now leading the way. We know he's comfortable here around Azerbaijan, but he's just got to keep it clean and not make any mistakes. But we have 10 laps to go here in this race, and it's been a very exciting race to commentate, and the likes of Sweet Crown 19, Schiaparelli, they are battling it out, but more or less for the wooden spoon, P13 and P14, as they're nowhere near the front row of the, nowhere near where we're used to seeing them up the order, as they've both had a few costly mistakes, getting a little bit too anxious getting some moves done, and you can see what happens if they do get done. But still, this is a battle we love to see between these two drivers, and as it continues on here, nonetheless, in Baku City Circuit, as Sweet Crown is putting pressure. Schiaparelli trying to get an overtake on AJ Wuhan, who is doing a good job keeping behind, but we'll see for how long, as Schiaparelli using some ERS to try to get it done. Andin Feral Fury, excuse me, overtaking Andin just barely, but look at this battle. They're going side by side. Andin was still there, but it is Feral Fury who's gonna get that move done. AJ did fall down the order, lost 2 positions in the span of a corner, as both Sweet Crown and Schiaparelli got the move done. But here comes Feral Fury and Andin once again. That battle wasn't over at all, as Andin is still keeping his nose in there. And further ahead, we have Ferg and Fassassin that were battling it out. But look at this, going side by side through the hairpin here, as that's the Red Bull of Duwheel right behind as well. But Feral Fury and Andin still keeping very close. And I feel like I'm hearing mic noises. Is anybody here? Nope, I must be going crazy, I think. Maybe I'm just hearing my own mic noises as I'm getting a little too excited here in the commentator's booth for all of this action. But now Duwheel looking to get involved on this battle that we saw between Andin and Feral Fury. Duwheel, but now Josh 2 also very, very close. We have a yellow flag in the castle section. Who is that here having a moment? And we are under full safety car. And for these hard tire runners, the likes of Knight, he's probably jumping for joy as he can get a free pit stop now, get off of those hard tires. But for the likes of Rotation, your own Visser, maybe not what they were hoping for, as they were hoping to maybe to continue on their own race, but now the grid is going to be bunched up. You're seeing all these drivers take a pit stop, other than Josh too, who just took his up into third, but this might change this race and flip it all over on its head. But oh my, this is going to get exciting, as here on lap 18, we are under full safety car, as I believe that was Izat Kush who got caught up in the castle section, as you see him taking a pit stop. It won't show us. There we go. We saw it there, and I did see no front wing whatsoever on that racing point, or not that racing point, the AlphaTauri car. So from bad to worse for Izat Kush, but crucially now under safety car, everybody's going to be bunched up, and it's all going to be for the it's going to be basically for all the marbles here, with what's going to be a possible 6-lap sprint to the finish. And my oh my, this is going to be exciting. Just had to take a quick sip of water there. So much action going on circuit. I was starting to struggle a little bit there, but I am back from my pit stop, and here we go. Now here we're seeing Rotation take a pit stop. Your own Visser following suit. Maybe they're gonna opt to put on these soft tires here and push them 6 laps to the end, so they can just get that jump. But the question is, will they be able to get this pit stop done in time to keep that lead? It looks as though it is going to be the case. It's going to be very, very close. And finally now I can keep an eye out on this. I can actually take a look at the chat now for the first time in a while to see what everyone's up to here. I've been seeing it pop up, but just so much action I haven't been able to. Let's take a look here. Rotation first, confirm time trial warrior. Well, Jordan, that comment didn't age too well, as it is Rotation up in the lead now. And Asunic Gaming. But Lele, well, this just got super spicy. Medium runners will have a bunch more pace once the softs die. Yeah, that is true, but normally, I mean, the softs, I guess you can push them, I would say 4 or 5 laps before, I mean, maybe 4 laps, I would say, if I'm being conservative, before they truly start to die out. But then the question is, can these soft tire runners create enough of a gap to just hold on for these before the medium tires really start to kick in and get their effect? Never mind then. Oh my goodness. Asunic, I'm so sorry. I did not see at all your message in the chat earlier for the invite for comms, so apologies for that, as I'll be honest, I really could have used a co-commentator here for this race, given the sheer amount of action. I'm starting to run out of breath here, so the safety car came in clutch for myself here in the commentator's booth. But we are here under safety car on lap 19, and we will be continuing under safety car for lap 20, as those lights are still on. And it's Rotation leading the way. Your own Visser in second, Josh 2 in third, Eklund in fourth, Ferg in fifth, Sweetcrown 19 back up into sixth here after all of that. So that earlier pit stop on the mediums brought Sweetcrown 19 right back into this race here, but might be on slightly more worn tires, with the likes of Knight and Feral Fury in 7th and 8th, Andon in 9th, Do Will rounding out the top 10, Sophion in 11th, Assassin in 12th, Carter in 13th, Chapelelli down in a measly 14th position, as he's been struggling through the entirety of this race, and honestly might need a miracle to see the podium here. But of course, anything can happen. It is the safety car restart. Everyone is going to be bunched up as Tier 3 showed, or Division 3 showed, excuse me. You didn't hear anything. Division 3, that's totally what I said the first time and second time. It can be crazy scenes under the safety car, but for now it is Schiaparelli down in 14th, with Jarno in 15th, AJ Wuhan in 16th, Nathan JB in 17th, Izat Kush, another driver that we're not used to seeing down the order, in 18th. He's been struggling as well here around the walls of Baku, with Jamie 1 in 19th, not having the race he was hoping for, showing that just showing how difficult this track can be. But I believe everyone's caught up to the grid, so for lap 21 out of 26, we should be going back to green flag racing, as we'll ride on board with rotation as he takes the safety car, or follows the safety car up the hill through the castle section, and wants to get an overtake done, but definitely not going to be definitely not going to work too well, as that could very much so end your race under safety car, and create a bit of a oh my goodness, I'm completely losing track of my words, but if that happened, it would have been caught on stream and immortalized into the ISRL I guess ISRL moments, so to speak. But there we go. I'm done blabbering on because the safety car's in this lap, so I can start talking about the racing action once again. Rotation is leading the way under safety car, becoming the de facto safety car, getting the last little bit of heat in the tires as the safety car is approaching the pits, and will be going green here for lap 21. Is this Division 1 or is this Formula Fridays? We've got a 5-lap sprint to the finish. We are now under yellow flags. The safety car is in, and there goes rotation, getting the restart and times it perfectly. But here comes Josh 2 putting pressure. We're seeing battling here down the order, as at least as far as the front of the field is concerned. Oh my goodness, that was Eklund having a moment as I saw that car just fly around. But we have to get back to racing here, as very early on, that's not what he was hoping for. Schiaparelli up into 11th, overtaking Passassin, but stuck behind Sophion, but gonna try to make a move down the inside. Up into 10th now is Schiaparelli as he gets the restart he was hoping for. Look who's here up into 4th place. It's Sweet Crown 19 making a push for the podium positions here, right where it matters, but is still a bit of a ways to go and does have a little bit of work to do, as he's gonna have to get past his teammate and fend off these soft tire runners that are just itching to make a move right behind. But my oh my, what the heck happened to Eklund into turn 1, as so close to the end? That was a moment. Josh 2 took a penalty for multiple warnings, so not what he was hoping for, a costly mistake. But here comes Schiaparelli down the inside of Do Will. What an angle we have of that, as he gets the move done well before the corner. Up into 9th now is Schiaparelli. Knight overtaking Ferg to go up into 5th. Will he try to make a push for this podium now? But he's going to have a tall order to fill, as he's going to have to get past the 3-time defending world champion of Sweet Crown 19. And he'll close that gap within 3 seconds. But Josh 2 is now going to have to put pedal to the metal if he wants to keep that podium. But now Ferg is making a push right back on the Ferrari, or on the Red Bull. It is the Ferrari pushing the Red Bull, excuse me, but not able to get that move done, as this safety car really threw this race on its head, as drivers that I thought were completely out of the race are right back in it. Here comes Schiaparelli trying to make a move on Andon, but he has to close up first, as he's made a little bit of a gap to between himself and Do Will, not closing up enough, as they're all stuck in this train behind Sweet Crown 19, who's just holding up the pack and maybe paying a little bit of a favor to his teammate in 3rd, as the gap between Josh 2 and Sweet Crown is now over 3 seconds. My Oh my, what is going on here? We've got Nathan, who had a moment there on track, falling down the order, as that was right through the exit of that first little chicane. But no time to look at that, as I've got to keep an eye out on this battle. Ferg is now back ahead of Knight, but they still have not been able to get past Sweetcrown 19, who is in a net P4 still, as Josh 2 has been allowed to start creating a gap and focus on your own Visser, as they can leave the battle behind on the likes of Sweetcrown 19, who's honestly parking the bus a little bit. Shapalili up into 8th as he overtakes Andin to go up into P8. So Andin down into 9th. Shapalili doing a little bit of work here with on lap 22, starting lap 23. And there we go, Ferg finally, well, I thought got past Sweetcrown 19, but it's a drag race now to turn 1. Will it be Ferg who gets the move done? Yes, he does. So on lap 23, Ferg up into 3rd, or up into 4th, excuse me, Sweetcrown 19 down into 5th, and being pressured by the Red Bull driver of Knight, along with everybody else in behind this train here, as, we'll have to take a look and see how this is all going to play out. But I thought I saw some end plate damage. Yes, that is some end plate damage on that Williams. So no wonder he's so slow in these corners. He lost out on some downforce, but just drivers can't get past him in time, other than Ferg, who took nearly 2 laps to get the move done. But now this still allowed Josh 2 to get the overtake done. Passassin and Carter going side by side now here in the back spaces. And we've got 3 cars getting involved in this battle. That's Izak Kush. Whoa, what a move. And that's Yarno getting involved as well. 2x2 nearly. Oh my goodness, Yarno almost into the wall of the castle section. Takes a little bit of avoiding action, and now that's Carter getting the short end of the stick there as he falls down the order here as Jamie 1 gets past now. Carter down into 17th as he might have been caught taking evasive action on the likes of VR trying to avoid the wall. But here, Ferg still in 4th, Sweetcrown in 5th, Knight still stuck behind Sweetcrown, but just can't get the move done, but crucially able to grow a little bit of a gap. But here we go. Look at the pace the Red Bull driver has. Gonna try to go down the inside, but there go the afterburners of Sweetcrown 19. It's a drag race once again to turn 1. It is Knight who gets that position on lap 24 to go up into 5th. Here, Passassin and Izat Kush battling it out, and it is going to be Izat Kush who goes up into 12th, but Passassin thinks about making a lunge, but hang on, way farther ahead we have Andin, Feral Fury losing out on a position to Andin, as I think now Andin trying to make a move on Shapalili. Shapalili goes deep! Oh my goodness, what happened there? That Shapalili, who was making such great work, missing the corner of turn 3 like we saw earlier, and falls way down the order out of the points. A gift for Sweetcrown 19 here, as that might be just what he needed, and Shapalili's out of the race. That's a DNF, and is that a retirement on track for the for Shapalili? I think that was, as he's just had it with that mistake, and he is out of the race. But maybe some punishment to come, as you cannot retire on track like that here at ISRL. That is pretty black and white in the rule book. But we'll take a look at that, the stewards will, on Monday, because we got a race to finish. It is still rotation leading the way, and created a bit of a gap. Your own Visser in 2nd, Josh 2 in 3rd, and in a distant 4th is Ferg, with the Knight rounding out the top 5. But now Sweetcrown 19 falling down the order a little bit and being pressured from the likes of Andin, as Andin's going to try to go down the inside, and Sweetcrown 19 has just been a sitting duck on those older medium tires down this start-finish straight, as he's down into 7th. This is not something we're used to seeing, of Sweetcrown 19 being overtaken by all these drivers. But now, but there is a first for everything, as Izat Kush going very slow, lost out on 2 positions to his teammate and Passassin. So maybe a bit of a mistake for Izat Kush going around turn 2, as he lost 2 positions, and that's more positions lost as Izat Kush is falling down the order. He himself down into 16th, so out of the points is Izat Kush. Jamie 1 making some work here up into 13th off of the safety car restart, and this race has been turned all on its head here as the drivers are making waves. But now AJ falling down the order as Carter got an overtake done. I think AJ had a bit of a moment here, down into 15th, still in the points though, at least for the McLaren driver. But here, I want to keep an eye out on Josh 2, putting pressure on your own Visser to try to overtake, in the on track, but it might be for naught as he has a 3-second time penalty. But here we go. We are starting the penultimate lap. No, it is the final lap, excuse me. We are finishing the penultimate lap. Josh 2 does get the overtake done. That's half the job done, though, as if he wants to keep that P2, he's going to have to, oh, what happened here? That's Sophion having a moment here at the end of lap 25, losing the car into the wall. VR overtaking Jamie 1 into turn 1, and that is going to be VR46 Yarno up into 11th. Feral Fury putting pressure now on Sweet Crown 19 as he's just been falling down the order, but Feral Fury on 7-lap-old soft tires, so might be feeling the wear a lot more than he would like to admit, as we've got these yellow flags here, and I think that was Sophion DNFing, crashed out, and he is out of the race. So no points for Sophion, and a tough outing for the Division 1 AlphaTauri team. Jamie 1 back overtaking VR46 Yarno to go up into 11th. So we've got all these overtakes happening. We've got another yellow flag. What happened here? If I'm going to see it. Oh no, that's Ferg. Ferg had a moment into the castle section on the last lap. A costly mistake as he falls all the way down the order. Assassin overtaking Feral Fury. And Knight finds himself into a P4 here just outside of a podium. Josh 2 is in second, but he has 3 seconds of time penalty, so might be falling down into third. And that's Ferg out of this race. So Fergus crashed out with the wing damage, but here comes Andon trying to make a move on the line. Rotation takes the victory here while all of this is happening. Jeroen Visser in second, Josh 2 in third, but the drag race to the line for fourth. Who's going to take it? It's going to be Knight who gets the move done, but it's showing the arrow down, so I don't even know by how much the move was done. We'll have to see at the end. But my, oh my, what a drag race that was. And Jamie 1 overtaking Feral Fury, I think, at the line while all of that was happening. Assassin in 8th by 3/100ths of a second. So Sweet Crown 19 still gets a P7, but only just. But my goodness, what a finish that was for these points paying position. My oh my, and good grief, I gotta catch my breath here because that was crazy, wild finish. And honestly, those active in the chat, I feel you can't help but agree with that, as good, my goodness, the commentator is going to have a heart attack. Yep, I'm gonna have a heart attack, a hearth attack, a heart attack, but I can breathe now as we see the podium. It is Rotation taking the top step with the Haas on the podium of, my goodness, oh my goodness. Give me a second, I have to take a breather here before I can take us through the grid. Alright, so there we go. We have Rotation taking the victory here. Jeroen Visser in second. Josh 2 rounding out the podium position. So still able to get a podium after a very tough start of the race. With the Red Bull of Night coming in 4th, Andon in 5th, Duwill in 6th, Sweet Crown 19 in 7th, Assassin in 8th, Jamie 1 in 9th, and Feral Fury rounding out the top 10 after qualifying in 10th. But 18th to 4th for 9th. I just noticed that. Carter in 11th. VR46 Yarno in 12th. AJ Wuhan in 13th. Nathan JB in 14th. Ferg in 15th. Isaac Kush in 16th. Sophion in 17th. Chapalelli in 18th. And 19th and 20th. I am sorry, but I did not catch your names in time. But good grief, what a race that was. And I think now is about as good a time as ever to jump in to the podium interviews, as I'm just going to take a moment and get those invites sent out. All right, we have rotation in here. I'm just getting the rest of the interview. The rest of the the invites sent out. But rotation. Let me know when you can hear me. Perfect. So, firstly, congratulations on the victory. And while I get the rest of these invites sent out, just take us through, what were your thoughts here after the what I can only call an absolute crazy race here for the Division 1 championship?
Many other people made mistakes, so it was at the end it was like me versus Jeroen, so, and I got him.
Yeah, I did see that. Now, something I did want to ask was under the when that safety car came out, because it looked as though the top three, you were kind of all in your own world. Were you worried here under the once that safety car came out that maybe things were gonna end up on its head and maybe see some of the usual front runners get those overtakes done?
Yeah, very scared. I mean, a lot. But yeah. Luckily, me and Jeroen, we got ahead of the safety car when it came out, so we didn't lose any time to those who pitted. We could just go around and pit to fresh off. So yeah, it wasn't so much worried after that.
Oh no! Oh, we can't hear your rotation. I think you don't have your voice shared here for the stream.
Go to party settings.
I just checked. It says allow all the time. So I don't know. Maybe.
Oh no. Oh no, we'll have to look into that just from what Asunix's mentioning. But thank you for your input, rotation. But I think we saw we had both Jeroen and Josh. So I think Jeroen, I'll start with you. P2 after penalties. Take us through. What were your thoughts here on that race?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't expect to be in the top group for this one. But yeah, some people battled behind me that had more pace. But yeah, to be fair, just a good race. No incidents, no damage.
Yeah, so kept it clean.
No penalties.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Kept it clean and it paid out for you. And I know I've been saying that all week, that you gotta, if you keep it clean, you're gonna have a good outcome, because it is the battle. But you did a good job. So congratulations. And Josh, I know you joined us here. I'm gonna ask that same question. What were your thoughts on that race? Take us through that.
Yeah, I got a bit unlucky. already at the start. Started on the wrong compound of tires. I used that on Q3, so I had 25% already at the start. So I had to pit on the first VSC, pitted for mediums, and yeah, then nothing special happened. And in the end, I really have to admit that rotation and Jerome got a bit lucky with the second safety car.
Yeah, and that's I was gonna say, because I did see very early on, Josh, that you took that pit stop. I think you were caught up in a bit of an incident. Did you see yourself on the podium after being all the way back in the back of the grid early on in this race?
Yeah, I know I had a great chance with the mediums. I was way faster than most of the people on softs or hards. But the podium, I don't know about that. But yeah, probably got lucky that people like Chapelele and Sweetcrown bottled it at the end.
Yep, so it definitely paid out for you there. Now, I'm just going to bring it to all of three, just before I wrap up the stream, just because I don't have my co-commentator here. Do you guys have any final words to give to everybody watching at home after that race?
Not really.
No, not really?
Well, I have one thing to say. Can people please start watching the D1 race more than the others, because it's kind of weird how Division 2 and 3 get more viewers.
There we go. So you heard it from Rotation. Come on, guys, you gotta watch the Division 1 streams. But no, thank you. That's awesome. But I think that'll just about wrap it up here for the stream. Congratulations to you guys on the podium. And for those watching at home, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the action as much as I did, because it was a good one. But make sure to tune in, same time, same place next week when we take on Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. It is going to be exciting. And I want to say thank you to our sponsors, IMB Racewear, Jackson Protection Agency, and the IFEA. And of course, once again, to everybody watching at home, we could not be here without all of you supporting us. But I've been Fallen Monkeys, and on behalf of everyone here at ISRL Esports, have yourselves a fantastic evening.